It is my firm belief that to live a non-ordinary life, it's good to have an understanding of energy. And today we're going to talk about the energetics of stress. So energetics just means how energy behaves. So to begin with, I'm just going to run you through what today's video is going to entail. We're going to start by talking about how stress accumulates and some common approaches that we take in order to deal with stress. There's three kind of main things that we do to try and overcome the build-up of stress. And then we're going to look at the hidden pattern. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this and actually show you the dynamics of stress in a way that you may not have thought of before. And then we're going to look at the shift, so what needs to happen to come away from that stress pattern. And then I'm going to run you through a little demonstration of mind-body energy and how we can use mind and body to alleviate the effects of stress in a very unique way. And then I'm going to give you the next steps. But let's start with how stress accumulates, because it does. Over time, it doesn't necessarily go away. It just keeps building and building and building. And in a second, I'm going to show you what that looks like. But I just want you to get that sense, that understanding that it doesn't really go away, and that over time, our baseline rises. So we're not actually getting better at dealing with stress. Our system's just not reacting to what it used to react to. Unfortunately, that just means that we've lost that capacity as well. So again, I'm going to talk to you about this in a second. So like I said, what stressed you out 5 years ago is barely registering now. Now we might think, oh, that's good, but it's not, because a lot of that energy is going to keeping us below that point. So anything that happens beyond that point, it becomes a trigger, and those triggers become more and more prevalent as we go along. So the smallest things can then set us off. So often we go, oh, what's the answer? And we start to look for answers outside of ourselves and different things that in order to reduce that stress. But I don't think that's the right way to come at it. I think we need to be asking a different question. So instead of asking how to relax, I think we should be asking why that system doesn't return to baseline. What's stopping it from coming back to what I call the neutral state? As I said, there are common approaches to stress, and we've all heard of them. The three top ones are relaxation, mindset work, or distraction. And I'm pretty sure that all of us have tried one or all three. So we do things to try and get. The thing is, with all of these things, what we're trying to here, let me show you. So I'll bring my little fella in. What normally happens is we go along. Imagine stress is coming at you front on, and what we try to do is go around it. Okay, if it's coming this way, we try to get away from it. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second, because what we're doing is bending away from it. And the more we bend away from it, the more our system has to compensate down at that first where it's bending. Okay? So with relaxation, we're trying to kind of move away from the pressure, and we're trying to come away from it. With mindset work, we're trying to go over the top of it. Positive thinking. With distraction, we're just trying to remove ourselves altogether from the problem. Okay, as long as we're not thinking about it, then it's not bothering us, which is interesting, because where your awareness goes, energy follows. Now, the reason none of those things tend to work, or if they do, they only work while you're doing them. When your system is under load, so when you're in the stressful situations, you tend to go right back to those problem states. And that's because we're not dealing with the pattern that's underlying the system. Now, the pattern becomes a loop. So whenever our body gets activated, whenever we start to move away from baseline, I'm going to show you what this looks like in a second, our system tries to compensate and bring it back. So let's have a look at what that looks like. Okay, so if we are here, we're on an axis. So normally this is the way we travel, okay? And this is our kind of mood, up and down. Now, if something happens in our system, just say with our mood, that takes us away from that baseline, or this way, if you're looking at it this way, it takes us away from that baseline. Stress just means to bend. That's literally the derivation of the words, where the word came from. So when we come away from our baseline on either way, don't worry too much about the dynamics of this. There's a load here. Now, our capacity might start at 100, but if this load is minus 20, we've lost that. Okay, that 20 from there of our full capacity then goes to trying to bring this back over here. And then if we have multiple stresses, you get the picture. We're constantly losing capacity, and that energy is going to trying to bring these things back. But if we don't know how to do that, and if we don't know how to come back to that baseline, our capacity is just going to keep going down and down and down until we're at half capacity. And then we then have to deal with the rest of life, okay, as we go forward. And there's going to be counter forces coming the other way all the time. And if we're meeting those counter forces at reduced capacity, whoops, we've lost it. It's just going to create more and more and more and more stress. Okay, so as those stresses increase, we lose, the system slowly loses capacity to regulate itself. So it becomes harder and harder and harder to bring ourselves back to baseline. So the shift. Stress itself isn't really the problem. So normally stress builds up, around our head or whatever it is. And we tend to associate the stress with something outside of ourselves. Okay? And so we're trying to deal with this, but we're not dealing with where it bends. Okay? So if the system is bending, if we're bending away from it or bending away from it, okay, the stress is here at the point of bending. It's not out here. Okay? So what we need to try and do is bring ourselves back to neutral. All right? So the thing that's stopping us, the real problem, is an incomplete return. An incomplete return to baseline, an incomplete return to zero, which then gives us back our capacity. Okay, our ability to handle life and energies associated with life at near enough to or close enough to full capacity. So the energetic solution isn't forcing the system to relax. It isn't trying to divert your attention and awareness away from the problems in your life. It's about, and it's not about distraction, okay? What it is about, it's about restoring connection between the mind and the body. And when we do that, the system can rebalance itself. And I'm going to show you how that happens. Okay, so we'll go back to this picture here. If our little system is bent over here, there was a path that took you there. Okay, and we can describe that path energetically. So instead of saying, oh, I'm just stressed, we can actually start to use our awareness of our mind and body, which I'm going to run you through in a second, to define this pathway. And then once we, and as I'm going to show you, once we can define the pathway that took us there, we can just take the same path back to zero. Okay, back to what I call neutral. So let's do that. What I want you to do is just simply notice where the tension sits in your mind and body. It's both. Some people are more adept at feeling the sensation in their body, and other people are more adept at sensing it with their mind. Okay, so you want to get this forget about the names. All we're looking for is trying to describe the sensation. So is it expanding out, or is it contracting in your body? Is your body sort of twisting out, spinning out of control, or twisting in? Is it tight? Is there a sense of charge building up, or is there like a complete discharge? Is there a pressure or a tension? And you can sort of lean into it. You'll feel it. You'll get this sense of your body either moving away from something, or you're leaning and you'll feel it. And it's the same thing with your mind. Your mind's a very curious part of your system, in that it doesn't just think. Okay, it can sense things. It can get a picture or an idea of something without you actually having to define what that thing is. And so you almost get this. You can sort of almost see it in your mind. This sort of whatever it is, whatever you sense, but you can sort of see it, and you can sort of see yourself like almost being pushed into it, or pushed away from it. And so what we want to start to do is just, instead of trying to change that, instead of trying to reduce the effects of it by moving away or by distracting ourselves from it, we just want to sit with it, because it's only energy. And once we understand what that energy feels like, we can start to get a sense of what the mind and body needs and wants to do. And you'll notice, as I said that, I leant back, because we sort of want to come just away from the pressure. And if we go back to my little bendy thing real quickly, we want to come back here. Okay, so if this is an increasing in pressure and you get this sense of things tightening, what does the body need to do to come away from that pressure? That's the big question. Okay, what does the mind and body, and I'm talking to you specifically, don't worry about what the right answer is, what does your mind need to do? And you just want to get a felt sense of this. It needs to make sense in your mind. So yes, I need to come away from that. And then that sense needs to make something of itself. And that's a feeling of release, a feeling of coming back into a neutral state. So just by bringing awareness to the internal pattern, or the internal sensation, either what you can see in your mind or what you can feel in your body, just by bringing awareness to it, you'll start to get a sense of what the energy is doing. And then quite naturally, because we are beings that move, our system will start to move itself. We'll start to naturally come away from that pressure and that tension, and we'll start to unbend. Okay, so this is the essence of working energetically. All right, where to from here? Okay, so you can develop this as a living practice throughout your day. Just the more that you do it, the more that you're going to sense when your system is starting to overload, and you're going to start to sense when your capacity is diminishing. And so all you need to do is literally play with the energetics of it, change the pattern, right? And eventually your system will learn not to follow that old stressful pattern. So bringing awareness back to the body and shifting awareness in your mind, if you can turn that into a daily practice, you're going to get relief from stress. All right? If this content interests you, there's going to be a lot more. I've got a lot. I've been working at this for 20 years. So I've got a lot to share. So please like and subscribe to the channel. I know that for years I never did that, but it makes a difference. It also signals, forget about the algorithm, it signals to you that this is something that you want to do in order to change. So I call non-ordinary living change through self-discovery. That's all this is. So all you want to do is bring a sense of play to this kind of work. If you would like further guidance, all right, there's a link below in the description, and that will take you where you need to be, which is non-ordinary living. But please follow, subscribe, follow along, and we will go on a magical mystery tour through energy and the practical application of energetic awareness through mind and body. See you in the next one.